see. I know love is waiting for you and me. You don't have to worry, it's never too late. Grab a hold now, baby. Now don't you hesitate. All I want is just to spend my life with you. Can you hear the wind blow for me and you? Signifying changes we're going through. Can you hear the wind blow? Ride the rainbow and you will see there's a garden of Eden for you and me. You don't have to worry, just feel the fire inside. Pretty baby, I want you, I'll keep you satisfied. All I want is just to spend my life with you. Can you hear the wind blow for me and you? Signifying changes we're going through. Can you hear the wind blow? All I want is just to spend my life with you.
Digital gear and the analog gear. What do you think?
I mean, there's no question. Analog gear just has a sound, and that's the sound that we grew up on records is all that analog stuff, and people doing their own thing with it. I have a lot of vintage amps, and they sound amazing. They're all individual, but for going on the road, sometimes they break down a little bit, So and now the technology of companies like. With what Marshall's doing now with the JMD1 is such a killer amp. JVM obviously is a vintage tube amp, but it's got all these channels. When I started off, you had to use pedals, with one channel. That's how you got the tone. But then there's stuff like Fractal and the Kemper and all this stuff, and it's all good. But sound-wise, a vintage amp is the most pure, I think. line, Mark Edwards got injured in a motorcycle accident, and so the band broke up. Meanwhile, I had some offers for other gigs and stuff, like Dio and a band called Slaughter, and
so by that time you'd made a name for yourself.
Maybe in LA, maybe, but not maybe. I mean, maybe a little bit in Japan or something, but
no, I mean you yourself, that people were coming to you to join the band now.
Yeah, and there was a scene still happening in LA, although it was kind of dying out a little bit, but I just wanted Lion to work, so I kind of blew everything off, and the one that would have been really cool, because I ended up there later, was Dio, but I just didn't. I met with Ronnie and we played, and it was going great. And he's.
At what point of Dio's career was that? Before Craig Goldie?
No, that was right after Craig. That was right after Craig did Dream Evil. I'm not sure why he left or whatever, but they were getting a new guy, and we played, and he offered me the job, and I just wasn't ready to leave Lion. I went down there because a friend of mine, Grover Jackson, the guitar builder, said, "You need to go do this. You need to go down and check this out. This could be really cool for you." And I really liked Dio, but I just wanted my band, and I didn't want to let my bros down too. You know, if a lot of times when people get offers to leave, it leaves other people in the lurch. You know, and so I just wasn't ready to do that. I was probably 20 something, and I was more like 15 at age, and the way I acted.
Right.
So. I turned that stuff down, but Mark got injured, and then there was then I got a call to do a record with the band Hurricane. Yeah. So that's how that transition happened, and worked with those guys on a record, and then I started doing some sessions. I did House of Lords,
right,
and then Cal and I took some of our songs that we had been holding back for our next record deal, and we started Bad Moon Rising with those songs, and we started with a Japanese record deal. So went from Lion to Hurricane to sessions, and then Bad Moon Rising. Yeah.
But in the meantime, you recorded solo albums.
After Bad Moon Rising did
Bad Moon Rising.
A couple. We did one or two records, I think, 2 records, and then I did Tracy G for a while. But Jimmy and I we hit it off again. You know, we just always hit it off. And he said, "You should join. You know, Ronnie's looking." And it took a few months before I actually heard from them. And finally, it was day after Christmas. Jimmy said, "Let's go meet Ronnie at the pub." And Ronnie.
Where were you at the time?
I was in Los Angeles, and the pub was called the Robin Hood Pub. It's in the San Fernando Valley. But Ronnie loved he everything English, and he loved pubs. He loved to.
So it was a traditional English pub.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So and the first day I met him, when I was 10 years earlier, when I was auditioning, after we played like one song, and then he said, "Let's go to the pub." And we went to a place called Bristol Arms or something, I forget. But he sat there, and we had a beer, and he said, "Well, I'm making this new record, and I want to see if you maybe want to play a couple solos on it or whatever." I said, "No, I'm not here to play a couple solos on it. I'm here to join the band and play all the guitars." And he says, "Okay, good. Start tomorrow."
Fantastic. So was he actually testing you at that point?
Maybe he was. I don't know, but you know, I just didn't want to waste any time. I'd been waiting. I was interested to play with him, and Jimmy and I, like I said, we hit it off.
You hit it off with Jimmy, and obviously he was the he was the bass player right the way through Dio, wasn't he?
Yeah. Yeah, there was maybe one period when he took a little vacation from the band, but yeah, he was Ronnie's right-hand guy. So joined Dio, and Ronnie, we hit it off too, and we had a great time in the studio. Ronnie I'll never forget, he would just sit there doing crossword puzzles all day long while I was playing guitar. And I'd say, you know, "Hey Ronnie, what'd you think of that?" And he'd be like, What? Oh, play it for me, you know. He was very intelligent, and he could knock out a couple these like serious crossword puzzles in a few hours. So we did the record, Killing the Dragon, and then we commenced on a tour that it was good timing because hard rock and classic rock was making a comeback finally, after a lot of stuff in the 90s that was just kind of going all over the place. That kind of music came back and started right around that time. And our tour was a support tour for Deep Purple and Scorpions, so it was like perfect.
Wow, what a lineup.
Yeah, it was. When we started, sometimes it was still sunny out, and Ronnie would be like, it's very difficult for me to be evil with the sun out, you know. But by the time, every day, that whole tour sold out. We were playing these outdoor, they call them sheds in the U.S. I don't know what they call them here, but outdoor amphitheaters. And they were sold out, but by the time we got halfway through our set, even it was packed. And so by the time we got to the big songs like Holy Diver and Heaven and Hell and stuff like that, Rainbow in the Dark, it was packed. So Ronnie it was like he was just loving it. It was great.
Excellent. So how was it? You wrote a couple of songs. It's 2 or 3 songs on the album.
Yeah.
Killing the Dragon.
Yeah.
How was it writing with Ronnie?
Well, it was great. I showed up at the studio, and there was a board. Usually when you're in the studio, people put a board up on the wall, and they name the songs, and they put categories like guitars, bass, drums, vocals, whatever, and then you check them off as you're done. But there are only 8 songs, and I said, that's going to be a kind of a quick record, right, guys? And Ronnie said, no, we need 2 more songs. So Jimmy and I we took a day off one day, and he and I wrote 4 things, and then we brought them to Ronnie, and Ronnie picked 2 of them, and then we finished them together as a band. They had already written some stuff with Craig Goldie, hadn't been recorded yet, but I could see where the record was going, and then I could also see what it needed. And Jimmy and I both worked on songs like that. So we worked on a slow, heavy thing, and then we worked on a fast, driving number. And yeah.
You've worked with some absolutely amazing drummers, though. Like you said, Tommy Aldrich, Brian Tisci, Dean Castronovo. You've worked with some amazing drummers.
I know. I love it. I've been so lucky. That's what I was talking about. And even prior to that, I worked with Carmine. I had jammed a few times with Vinny.
So he was still in. Vinny was still in Dio
at the beginning when I first jammed with him.
When you first joined.
But yeah, so Blas, and then we got Brad prior to that, and Keith had worked with Brad. Maybe it was, I think he'd done some Montrose gigs, but Brad had been in Y&T for several years after Phil Kennemore passed away.
Yeah.
retribution. Did a man start weeping when he's singing "Time of My Life"? Baby, baby, baby.
Doug Aldrich. Quite the bio, wouldn't you say? Quite the bio indeed. Burning Rain. Played for Whitesnake. Lead guitarist at some point for Dio. Lion, the band Hurricane, as well as House of Lords. Bad Moon Rising. Revolution Saints. And the Dead Daisies. Incredible bio. Reb Beach is the longest standing guitarist in Whitesnake. I like his playing a lot. They don't feature him as much as I'd like. But my favorite player, it's a flavor. For me, my favorite player, and I think Alex Hutchings' favorite player too, by the way, is Joel Hoekstra. He played for Cher. He played for Trans-Siberian Orchestra. Just an incredible guitarist. Of course, Sykes, you can't beat a world-class songwriter like that. And of course, Adrian, he's no slob either, right? Well, thanks for visiting me here at the Guitar Temple. I do appreciate it very much. On another note, it might be good to hear. We have merch coming. Merchandise. A lot of you like this shirt for some reason. You got the Guitar Temple. I do appreciate you wanting one of the shirts. I'm going to have some coffee mugs as well. So as you're listening to the shows, you can have a sip of coffee or something. Coming soon. It's not there yet, but it'll be here soon. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe. Do the thumbs up, would you? Do the thumbs up right now. Do the thumbs up because it does help. We want to make this thing jump further than it has. So go ahead, like and subscribe. Press the little button, the bell button. This way it comes to you. You know what I mean? It always comes. You can delete it if you don't want to see it that day or whatever. But press the little bell icon there. Okay, and go into the description below if you wish. Don't forget there is a tip jar there if you wish to leave a tip and say, hey man, like what you're doing. Keep up the good work. This way I can keep it going. Okay? Thank you very much. See you soon. An additional earmark. Forgot to tell you. There's my rig back there. Traveling at the moment. But listen, if you are interested by chance in getting a guitar, intermediate, beginner, intermediate, and advanced players will find one of these guitars fantastic. You can go in the description below also, and you will find guitars that would be right for you. If you don't know what to buy, this type of thing at Christmas time for a guitarist, there's one for beginners, one for intermediate, and one for super advanced expert pro. Good, better, and best and everything. There's a link below. Go ahead and click it, and there's a link also in the description for a video that I have on those specific guitars. It'll tell you all about them. So if you're interested in guitar, go ahead and get one right there, okay? I'll talk to you again, and thanks for stopping by once again at the Guitar Temple. Appreciate it.